My name is Daniel Boyd. I'm an artist and currently artist in residence at the Natural History Museum. The starting point for me at the museum was the first fleet collection held in the library. The watercolours that make up some of the documentation of the first years in the colony of New South Wales. I'm interested in the relationship that the Aboriginal people had with the British in Sydney during the first years of the settlement. What I find interesting with these images is the amount of information that can be read from an image and the amount of information that's lost through time, deliberate or indeliberate. For example, this snake here has obviously been hit over the head with a stick and placed in an interesting position to make it animated. What I'm interested in is the information that's not in that image, how this snake came to be in this picture. Did they trade for this snake? Did they have a guide? What did they trade for? Was it flour? Was it tobacco and rum? What I'm trying to do with my works for the museum is acknowledge that loss. The map I find interesting because it's kind of like a renaming, viewing the landscape differently to the Aboriginal people who live there. Two different perspectives on an idea like landscape. What does creating a drawing of a landscape in this manner mean to the beginnings of a colony? My great-great-grandfather ended up in the sugar fields as a slave in Queensland, and he met my great-great-grandmother there. And she's from the area where Captain Cook and the Endeavour beached at the Endeavour River, now known as Cooktown. The images here are made up of hand-coloured copies of engravings, watercolours, found images, documented during the Endeavour voyage. Captain Cook has always been a figure that I've used in my work because he's so important to Australian history and what people know as the birth of Australia. My work's an acknowledgement of this loss of information. These images won't stay as they are. They'll be transformed into something that's a reduction of surface information. You have an image that is made up by elements of an original image. So it's kind of like an erasure of memory or history in an image or an object. The loss of information relates to the processes the governments used at the time throughout Australian history, disregarding Aboriginal culture and systematically taking their culture away from them, separating the children and their parents, not allowing them to practice their culture. I have family who were a part of that. I no longer have traditional cultural practices. There's a strange play with the way that I create the work. This process of making the final image, the loss of information, empowers me because the viewer is put in a position where they don't have information. My work has always been challenging for people, but that's what I aim to do with my work.